Hello everyone, my name is Astetu Singh and you are watching the Unart show. Today we have Daniela as our guest. Daniela is a wonderful teacher and my artistic coach. I do not want to say a lot in the introduction part, so let's go to the episode and check out. Hi Daniela, how are you?
Hi, Astitva. I'm fine.
Daniela, you know what? I know you personally
Hmm.
very well. You are my therapist. You're my savior, technically my art savior. How shall I address you? I mean, initially you were my drawing teacher, then you became my coaching instructor, and now, as I say savior, that means you are helping me a lot with my art processes. So, what are you actually?
It's very precious to me to hear that I helped somehow during this special time, which
Hmm.
pandemic was, and your studies in different country, different place, different education system. So, who am I? Usually, I introduce myself as a intermedia artist because being artist is my main crucial part of my identity.
Hmm.
And on the other hand, I'm a educator, artistic coach, and manager of many artistic events,
Hmm.
and curator sometimes. I also write a lot.
Wow.
So, the type which is very often called an octopus.
Oh. Uh, the most interesting thing about you that you just mentioned this thing called intermedia art. Um, I'm also trying to get into it. So basically, what is the overall concept of intermedia art? Because intermedia art is something which is like, which is not a very old form of art. It's like kind of very contemporary, very new. So what is
Mhm.
basically intermedia art?
Basically, it's a kind of travel from media to media, and
Mm,
you choose particular media
mm,
depending on the topic, on the
mm,
purpose. You are between painting, drawing, video, performance,
mm,
and very often the same topic, the same idea is shown in different media at the
mm.
same time.
So basically, when you combine two or more than two medium of art to create something out of it. So,
Yeah,
for example, if I combine photography and painting,
yeah, and something else.
something else, or sound design, photography, filmmaking, glass together, and then
Yeah,
create out of it. So that is basically intermedia.
intermedia. Mhm.
That's great. What is the scope of intermedia art and artist as well?
What is the scope?
Yeah,
You mean what kind of scope?
scope in art world,
Mhm.
scope in commercial world.
It's like producing your own exhibitions
Mm-hmm.
and relating to some ideas,
Mm-hmm.
some problems, some um, crucial connected with ID practice and ID
Mm.
statement things. Yeah.
You also mentioned that you curate a lot of exhibition, and I have seen in my age group mostly that there are wonderful artists. They create under wonderful art as well, but they cannot exhibit it or they cannot show it to the world. And here the role of curator comes. So, is it important to consult a curator for your showcase, or you can be a curator yourself of your artwork and yourself?
I think that almost every artist has a possibility in their resources to curate own works.
Mm,
Because when you exhibit, when you arrange your set of works, you have all tools to present your work in some way.
mhm,
But on the other hand, the role of some outside
mm,
curator, professional curator who could cooperate with artists is very important because it's sometimes it's very difficult to find
Mm,
what artist exactly should present, what should exhibit, and
mm,
the role of curator, someone who cooperates, is extremely important.
mm,
um, I curate, I could say, maybe it was some accidental episode which closed me to being to be a curator, but
mm,
I'm not focused on being curator so much,
mm,
but very often enjoy possibilities to set some exhibitions, some um, museum, for example,
mm,
a collection. Like two years ago, I cooperated with here Wrocław Contemporary
mm,
Museum and their collection, and I could create an exhibition as a curator
mm,
with such a set. So, especially I comparing being curator with
mm,
being an artist at the same time.
mm.
But in the artwork, usually it goes separately.
Separate. Okay. On a broader perspective, if I talk about broadly, what is the job of a curator? How it starts and how it end? I mean, how it ends. Sorry. Yeah.
The job of curator
Mm,
is especially similarly like a job of an artist, is choosing some area of interests, of
mm,
things that are interesting for you very much, some field of um, topics of knowledge. And when you already know as a curator what
mm,
phenomena are you going to show, what public discussion are you going to start,
mm,
then you set some artists for individual and group shows, and you develop together with the artist some idea of presenting. It's like a mediation with outside world,
mm,
how to present, how to talk about art, how to extend exhibition, some exhibition with some additional descriptions, or some additional works that can be connected with many various group of people, like
mm,
workshops with children, with seniors,
mm,
with seniors, I mean elderly people,
mm,
or any other social groups
mm,
who needs our special cooperation as artists,
mm,
yeah, who want to be seen
mm.
by the artist, and cooperate together in some areas that are not strictly connected with the exhibition.
And also, a lot of us do not, I mean, do not know how to curate our work or how to present our work. A lot of us are like really good with working in their own field, in their own sectors, but we do not know how to present it. And there, the curator comes in and help us out. So basically, that on a smaller scale, we can say that a curator is something who helps you out to exhibit yourself or who helps you out to be presented somewhere.
Exactly. And a
Right.
very important aspect
Mm,
you talked about is how to show your work, how to
mm,
arrange your work in some professional or not non-professional space, because very often curators also enjoy public space or
mm,
non-gallery space,
true,
like
true.
old buildings, yeah,
Yeah.
some abandoned spaces.
And also, when you are an artist, you create thousands of work. But when it comes to presenting it, you cannot present all your work. So you need to choose. And
Yeah.
that is one of the most difficult tasks as well. and there
Exactly.
also your curator helps you. So basically it's a very specific and important job. You have to be very precise about choosing the artist artwork and how to present it, where to present it, what will be the scale of it, what will be the format of it. uh,
Yeah, and I would compare a curator with some movie director. So
yes.
your works and the artist are like actors,
mm,
and a curator can be like a movie director, and
mm,
everyone knows that a movie director is very
mm,
important person to create
mm.
this kind of work, which movie is. Yeah.
True, true. I mean, you design everything. What kind of light there should will be? What will be the temperature of light? Where the people will walk in? And in fact, there are a lot of curators in the presentation. They show that what will be the escape routes if something happened there. What if fire goes out?
Yeah.
So it's a really responsible job. Anyways, when I first met you, I I met you as a student, and you were my drawing teacher. Um, drawing to be very honest with me, uh, it was something I was not good at. I am not good at as well. I mean, I do not like it. But you motivated me, you helped me out, and I remember you told me that, Asta, to remember one thing: drawing could be anything. The only thing matters is how you are doing it and what are your intentions.
Yeah.
So can you elaborate how important drawing is for an artist, and what are the different aspects of it?
Yeah, drawing for an artist is like a inner structure. So every kind of art, every kind of media requires some drawing notes.
Hmm.
We start everything, whether it's a storyboard for some animation or
Hmm.
some movie. We draw when we design some glass form.
Mm,
We need some drawings.
mhm,
Even if we draw in 3D program,
mm,
it's also drawing. We use some new technologies, but we draw with points and with program, and very often we use in everyday life personal notes like composition of notes, arrows, directions, everything. It's drawing, and for a drawing teacher and drawing curator, because I'm very much connected with drawing because of the
mhm,
Wrocław Drawing Triennale. This is kind of festival devoted to drawing, in which I am involved in since 2015 as a curator, and this year I'm coordinate
wow.
kind of educational
Mm,
and workshop program for this. So
mhm,
in this thinking, um, drawing is, as you mentioned, everything. Everything in art creation starts with drawing
mm,
idea. It's like creating worlds. You know that in French language
mhm,
there is one verb like dessiner, which means to create and to draw the same time. So
mm,
design is like combination of to design even to combination of creating and
mhm,
drawing, setting some points, setting some ideas. So all the curators of Drawing Triennial,
mhm,
uh, we are very focused on all types of drawing, like drawing of amateur drawings,
mm,
like simply drawings of everyone who isn't involved in art,
mm,
of artists who are not familiar with drawing, but
mm,
despite this fact, they draw. I I also had a very complicated relationship with drawing at the beginning of my
Hmm.
artistic career.
Uh, mm, drawing when drawing comes in picture, I kind of not anymore, but I used to step back because I had this thing in my head that drawing can only be something where you just take your pencil or your scale or your different tools and draw on paper. But you introduced me to a lot other kinds of drawing. For example, one time I presented a mandala,
Yeah.
which was with color, sand and color, and it was also a form of drawing. So what are the different possibilities of drawing, and how can we do it using different things? For example, I have seen people using wires to do drawing or threads to do drawing. So what are the different possibilities?
Anything, any tool which allows us to put some line mark or
Hmm.
spot mark on some area, surface, or some 3D dimensional space
Hmm.
uh, can be treated as drawing.
Hmm.
For example, recently I visited some exhibition, which was exhibition of some students of Wrocław Academy and some students from Poznań University of Art.
Hmm.
It was devoted to the idea of boundaries and borders of countries. And I saw a drawing of various countries' borders
Hmm.
created with a wire in space.
Hmm.
So I think this is good example what drawing can be, and we can also adjust
Hmm.
our natural skills to some media opportunities. So
Hmm.
if you don't feel good with drawing from your memory or
Hmm.
drawing from nature, you can use some stencils as a pattern.
Yeah.
You can use some printing and you can overdraw this printing.
Masks as
Masks,
well. Yeah.
yeah. So there are thousands, hundreds possibilities.
Hmm.
Maybe you could recall some untypical, non-typical media from our classes.
Definitely. I mean, what not? We used what not, starting
Mhm.
from knife to masking tape to colors to soil to grass to trees. A lot of things. Yeah. Um, when I call you my savior, that means you actually have saved me a lot of times, and saved me not physically but mentally and psychologically. Uh, as an art student, I was a lot of time actually. I was in a situation where I was psychologically not well. For instance, when I was doing this project with depression, where I was
Mhm.
constantly in touch with depressed people and interviewing them, asking a lot of questions. And when I got into it, I was kind of, I started to feel depressed myself. And my artistic thinking was on a full stop. And then you helped me to get out of it. It was a long process, I know. How important is your job? I mean, can I call you a therapist, a coaching therapist, or
Maybe it would be better art coach.
art coach? Yes, art coach
Mhm.
would be the best thing to call you. Being an art coach, you helped me a lot. What is the job of art coach, and how you help people, and why there is a need to that? I know it, but I am just asking for all of them.
It's like accompanying people,
Mm.
especially people involved in art process. So like professional artists or people who consider being artist or
Mm.
not being an artist to create something to change their life, and this kind of company
Mm.
of myself uh, is like a partner relationship
Mm-hmm.
between me and my student or client
Mm.
in an equal relation,
Mm.
because in professional coaching
Mm.
in which I'm involved
Mm-hmm.
through an international coaching federation which cares for ethic standards and some rules
Mm.
for professional coaching. It's very important to remember that the so-called coachee, sorry for that term, but very often we use
Mm.
coachee as a
Mm.
client or student because
Mm.
there are various relationships.
Mm.
The coachee is the biggest expert
Mm.
in his or her own life art
Mm.
needs. So there is a big difference between a coach
Mm-hmm.
and, for example, a counselor
Ah.
or
Yeah.
a therapist.
Mm.
Um, because the main person who should lead in that process is the person of an artist.
Mm.
And my role is to guide him or her with some good questions,
Mm-hmm.
deep questions. Probably you could discover during our sessions that
Absolutely.
mostly you could have a question from
Mm.
me. Sometimes, very often, that there is the
Mm.
best reaction when when a coachee says, "Oh, that's a good question." So when I hear that's a good question, I know that something
Mm.
important can appear. And of course, there is a space like 15% for some counseling or mentoring,
Mm.
uh, but only under the condition that an artist wants to check something, to consult something.
Mm.
And the very important thing is goal, which is described and examined very carefully at the beginning of the process.
Mm. Wow, that's interesting. You yourself as an artist, um, how you discovered that you want to be an artist? What was your first interaction with art?
I think I was born an artist.
Ooh.
Because from the very beginning I had this special kind of memory,
Mm.
which is in Polish language called memory from a pram. I think pram is a
Yeah.
baby machine, yeah,
Yeah. Pram.
on a
Yeah.
pram.
Mm.
Because I remember so much from my early childhood, and
Mm.
I remember my idea, which was born then.
Mm.
Who am I? Where exactly am I? What language do they people speak? Uh, what's going on? And my observation
Mm.
of the world around
Mm.
um, was, I believe, somehow different than most of children had, most of
Mm.
people around had. And I discovered it very quickly. Mm, it was like observing things, objects, some relations, and thinking a lot about it and asking some people questions, for example, questions to other kids. How do you think? Is this relation of these two colors good? Uh,
Mm.
is this form interesting? Could we build some form
Mm.
with all these chairs? And suddenly I discovered that they're staring at me
Mm-hmm.
and they probably don't know what I'm talking about. And sometimes
Mm.
another persons with such a sensitive thinking,
Mm.
sensitive to art, appeared also some other kids or some teenagers or some adults, and I felt, oh, they really catch my idea. And today most of them are also artists. And I think my family was also a good environment
Mm.
to develop an artistic attitude.
Mm-hmm.
Surprisingly, both of my parents graduated chemistry by accident,
Mm.
because the dream of my mom, the big dream of my mom, was to study movie academy in Łódź.
Mm.
She wanted to be a movie director,
Mm.
but she was afraid of a huge. To be honest, it was probably impossible that time to pass the exams for her. Probably she would have to try 5 times or more, or maybe some miracle would happen.
Mm.
But she quit. And my father had an entry to every university because he won in a high school, at high school, some um, kind of contests, some extracurricular
Mm.
contents, and then you have a free pass to any
University.
university. Expect artistic
Whoa.
universities.
We are special.
So my father thought, should I go to theater academy or no? I should pass some exams to theater academy.
Mm.
Or should I go for study literature
Mm.
because he enjoys writing very much. And he chose chemistry. And my
From
mom,
theater.
yeah, and my mom also chose
Mm.
chemistry because her uncle invited her to industry area of Katowice, and it was
Mm.
very innovative time for chemistry. But after I came to this world, my mom always took me um, for openings of almost every exhibition in Wrocław.
Mm.
I used to go to theater very often with her. I enjoyed writing, so it was very, very natural for me
Mm.
to create.
Definitely. In the very beginning of your life, the support of your parents and teacher are so important that that can lead you to be a good human in future, or to be a good person in general. I just I was talking to my cousin. She lives in New Delhi. uh, and she goes to kindergarten. No, now she is in a proper school, primary, proper school. So one night she came and she called me because she knows that I'm in an art school, and she knows that I create art as well. So she just called me, and she was not happy, not crying, but she was not happy. I asked what happened, and she told me, my teacher in the school today scolded me because I drew a lion which was colorful, which
Hmm.
with all the stripes. It was not yellow and black, but it was not golden and black, but I drew a tiger with a colorful tiger. And I was like, that's amazing. I mean, this idea would have never came in my head. And I was like, this is really a good thing. I mean, this is your imagination having a colorful tiger, and that is, and there is nothing wrong in it. I mean, if a 20-year-old can imagine a horse with a horn and you call it unicorn. I can imagine being a kid, I can imagine a lion or a tiger, colorful one. uh, and she was like, my teacher was not happy and blah blah blah. Then I asked her that give the phone to your mom, and I explained it out to her.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, yeah, you are right. Next morning she went to the school and that teacher was still rigid. No, how can she? I mean, this is the age where she should learn that tiger is this and this. I'm like, maybe she doesn't want to learn, she has her own imaginary world, and art is all about imagination. Because her family supported it, and yeah, we took her out from that school. Now she goes to other school. uh, I think because parents supported you and most of us who study here,
Mm-hmm.
we can actually approach to art differently. I just imagine about those people uh, who are not this fortunate. I mean, still I know I have friends where in their house they only talk about being a doctor, engineer, or those white collar jobs, where
Mm-hmm.
I mean they consider art as hobby. What do you think about it? I mean, this is very
About their convictions,
yeah,
you mean?
yeah. I mean, I was fortunate, you were fortunate, few of us were fortunate, but there are many
You know what?
unfortunate.
I would invite one of these white collars
Hmm.
here during the session time, during our exams, even to the studio in
Hmm.
which we are talking,
Hmm.
and they should try what kind of hobby and pleasure it is. That it's very hard work. It
Definitely.
requires a lot of work, a lot of
Hmm.
focus, knowledge, time. Um, and of course, it's not a hobby. It might be a hobby, of course,
Hmm.
for someone whose path is completely different, like kind of relax, free time, painting, anything. But being a professional artist requires also some professional skills. So you mentioned two things.
Hmm.
Terrible art education that
Yeah.
most of world still suffers.
Hmm.
Mm, and some schools are not prepared how they should teach art, and art isn't involved into educational process. Very
Hmm.
often is it is just a school subject.
Hmm.
Yes, school kind of workshop,
Hmm.
and we should develop mm, learning through art, because we can easily imagine learning even that mentioned chemistry through
Hmm.
art, through colors, through posters, and um, this is also kind of public education about what art is, to change
Hmm.
thinking of these circles, like you mentioned, white colors. But it's not
Yeah.
only about white colors. I think many of lawyers, doctors would
Hmm.
like to educate their children on another generation of
Hmm.
lawyers, doctors, and very often mm, an artistic career, possible great career,
Hmm.
can be lost. Yeah.
True. True. But there are less people.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I had great support of parents and my teachers, but
Hmm.
also I had very difficult time and some bad adventures
Hmm.
with preparation, especially preparation to study at artistic university. Once I went for some advisory, some counseling,
Hmm.
and I heard that my works which I prepared, all of them are just kind of shit, and I I'd never be a professional artist, the man
Mm,
said. It was some man in some kind of private school
that's weird.
which prepares students to study art.
Mm.
So some extracurricular workshop. And he told me, you will not be an artist.
This is weird, and we can't actually. But the best thing is that you
Yeah.
are here, and we're like,
Yeah, but I remember I was very devastated then. Yeah,
yeah,
I was 16 maybe.
that's sad.
Yeah, so
That's horrible.
I think we should all remember that everyone would um, meet some
Mm,
difficulties, yeah,
true,
on that
true.
path.
So, Daniela, from where have you done your schooling? Schooling as in which was your university?
The Eugeniusz Geppert Academy of
It's
Art and
basically our
Design
academy,
in Wrocław. Yeah,
ASP Wrocław.
ASP Wrocław,
And when did you graduate from here?
2009.
Mm.
I graduated a master degree then, and last year I completed my PhD diploma as well.
How was the experience in ASP?
It's very special, and I think we are here very lucky to study. When I transferred from my high school, which was very strict high school because it was one of the best high schools in Wrocław with very demanding program of every subject and very strict with discipline. And I was so relieved when I came here and I discovered this individual kind of study of education that we spent a lot of time in studio, and the professors give us a lot of space for our process. Um, of course, sometimes it's very intensive during the session, for example, but generally, I think we have a lot of time for practice and very individual path and private, quite not private, but individual hours consultations with teachers.
This is one of the best thing about the school, by the way, that I can go to studio and talk to my professor one on one. So yeah, so it's just quite amazing, and I do not think that a lot of art school has this structure of studies. Whosoever comes to an art show from our school, I ask a specific question, and I keep this question as it is to everyone. Tell me one best thing about the school, the bestest one thing about our school.
Oh, good
Yeah,
question.
yeah. Next one's gonna be a little bit
Mhm.
bad. Don't worry.
The best
The
one, yeah.
bestest.
The bestest,
Mm,
the most precious one.
yeah,
Um,
that is best according to you.
I think we have really good resources to study,
Yes.
like equipment, like various studios, interdisciplinary possibilities. This is the best.
And what is the worst?
What is the
Worst thing
worst?
about our school? I mean, I can tell you other what other people has answered about it. Zuza said a lot of documentation because it's a public university. We have to do a lot of documentations, and sometimes it is quite too much. What is according to you the worst
Mm.
thing?
I'll be very honest, okay?
Please, please. Honesty is
I think
needed.
the school,
Mm,
the academy should involve
mm,
more mm, professional artists whose careers are very, very well settled in the
Mm,
art world. This is my opinion. That uh, this is the worst thing. Most of the teachers are kind of um, devoted to teaching,
mm,
and it's good, and we have a lot of fantastic artists here, and it's another true, but everyone would be very lucky
mhm.
to have possibilities to work with artists whose professional careers are known in entire Europe or world. So much more, we need much more artists to teach here from professional
True.
art world.
True. I mean, I completely agree on this. You're like open about most of your thing, even about your personal stuff as well. I mean, I remember a conversation when you told all of us that you're like married for 13 years and it's going all great. Touch wood. And there is a myth about artists that artists are not good with their personal stuff. I mean, they're not balanced with
Mhm.
their personal life and in their artistic life. How are you managing up, and how is it going with you?
Managing these two areas. You know, maybe it's not about relation of my artistic life and private life, or just organizational life admin, yeah, but some scale of projects, artistic and coaching and culture projects very often involve me for many months, from early morning till late evening. And I see that normal life admin suffers from this.
Mm,
And I have little time to manage my things, my houseworks or things like that. And I am cluttered with
mhm,
many things because I don't have time to declutter. But on the other hand, I spend a lot of time with my family,
mm,
quality time. So I'm glad that houseworks or
mm,
this kind of life admin suffers
mm,
instead of my relationship with my friends and my
mm,
family. So I quite balance, but
mm.
um, with art, there is one more thing, that art generally, this is my voice to artists who are not overwhelmed with so many other stuff like papers or
Mm.
managing. Art is more than a job itself, and
It's a way of
it's,
life.
yeah,
It's a
it's
way
a
of life.
it's a part of life.
Mm,
And very often many people create stuff when they feel it's a good moment. Sometimes it's the middle of the night,
mm,
sometimes they have to quit everything. So I don't believe in life art balance too much
mm,
in everyday life. Rather, I believe in some periods when we have
mm,
period of total artwork
mhm,
time, like almost entire days, and later we have separated time for holiday, for a total rest.
Mm.
So this kind of relation, I believe. I don't believe in everyday life.
uh, yeah, obviously, I mean, I agree. Um, your partner, your husband is also an artist.
Yeah.
Does it help?
Sometimes it help. Sometimes it's difficult.
Uh, you know, when I was researching about you, I was reading your profile. So, you know, there was a there was a picture on Google with you and your husband, Shamek Pendle.
Yeah.
Uh, he is amazing. I mean, so are you.
Yeah.
I mean, I do not deny it. So are you. And I was
That's why I share my life with him.
that's great. That's great. And you know, I mean, I would love to have him sometime on the show as well. That
Mm.
would be so amazing. How did you guys meet? I mean, how it all started?
It's complicated question because I was a student then,
Mm-hmm.
and we started some cooperation with some
Mm.
art foundation connected with survival art review. You probably heard about
Mm.
survival art. It's like survival in English, but
Mm.
in Polish here it's an art review in untypical spaces, non-gallery spaces, and
Mm.
I was involved in that foundation, and he was also. And at first, I thought he must be student too. I thought he's
Mm.
maybe diploma student or some just, young assistants. I didn't know that he has been working for many years at the academy. So of
Mm.
course I waited until my diploma,
Uh,
because that's why it's complicated, and
mm.
we get together after my diploma, and it happened like that. Yeah.
Wow. This is so, you know, Bollywood filmy story. Amazing. Do you believe in love?
Yeah, definitely.
And obviously, I mean, being an artist, we are exposed to a lot of emotions. Um, how do you balance yours? I mean, you know, sometimes with me it happens a lot. I will start to feel very depressed. I will start to feel very happy. I will start to feel very sad, and it does not have balance.
The balance of different emotions.
Emotions.
Mhm.
And I think it happens with a lot of us because it's not only me. I have friends who actually suffer with the same kind of disbalance. Also because I will not put it as that, you know, just because we are artists or we are art students we have this, but actually our art processes um, works as a catalyst in this unbalance of emotions.
Mhm.
uh, do you suffer with the same, and if yes, then how do you deal with it?
Yes, I experience sometimes very different moods and rapid changes
Mm.
of my mood, of my attitude, of my motivation, and I found out quite easy remedy
Mm.
for that many times, many years ago. I compared this state of mind with weather outside.
Mm.
It's, this is normal. This is typical in nature. Yeah, that we have different, even within one
Mm.
season, like
Mm.
autumn or spring. We have very various weather.
Mm.
Sometimes temperature is similar, but one day you have rain, other day you have sun. So
Mm.
I compared with this, and
Mm.
I just accept in my mind
Mm.
this state. Okay, I'm sad or angry or tired today. Possibly tomorrow will be better. This is the easiest way for me. But the other way we once practiced during our sessions
Mm.
is about some examination of our things and thoughts, yeah,
Mm.
our beliefs. So usually our emotion comes from some accident, some fact, some
Mm.
trigger that appeared, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and we react somehow.
Mm.
So very often I want myself to answer what exactly happened. Yeah?
Mm.
Do you remember this objective I? How can we change, yeah,
Mm.
some belief
Mm.
that we for example, I was attacked by my friend. Yeah? This is
Mm.
non-objective uh, fact.
Yeah.
Yeah? And what would be an objective? What would camera see?
Yeah. My friend was angry at me because I broke his cup or mug.
Yeah. And we
Yeah.
don't know even about his or her agriness.
Mm.
We know with objective eye that your friend used loud voice, for
Mm.
example, to express
Mm-hmm.
his or her disappointment. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And later we can check what kind of beliefs and things appears, or something happened with not with our friend but with our artwork. We did something, we
Mm.
don't like our artwork, so we feel furious, we are not sure of this, and we can also check what actually happened. I
Mm.
stuck in my process. Yeah.
Mm.
How to change? I'm stuck. We can change into um, something like I can't go forward with my artwork. Yeah,
Mm.
because I need to change something. So we have two different things about it,
Mm.
and we can try to change our beliefs,
Mm.
our emotions, and then we can have different actions which are undertaken, right?
Yeah.
So I work, I use maybe I'm not objective because
Mm.
I use some of my coaching and psychology skills from various trainings, yeah,
Mm. And
to
these are
manage.
actually helpful. I mean, especially for me, we are constantly in touch for like last 1.5 years, more than that actually, and I can see improvement in myself psychologically and mentally both. I mean, every time I'm messed up, I just go back to the class and I was like, okay, this is what I have experienced, and there should be a way out, and hence I get a way out to it. Um, in your artwork, there is a lot of influence from Japanese art culture. What is your relationship with this Japanese art culture?
Oh, there is a big relationship
Mm.
because I was interested in Japanese art and thinking for many years, and
Mm.
I was reading. I read the Empire of Science,
Mm.
written by Roland Barthes,
Mm.
and later we finally could go to Japan with
Mm.
Przemek for some study visits, some artistic research,
Mm.
curatorial research, and uh, I started to explore Japanese
Mm.
culture. We've been there for 5 times.
Mm.
And if everything will be fine with our visa, we're going again this June.
Mm.
And what is the relation in my art? I think strong devotion to simplicity, kind of minimalism,
Mm.
and very important role empty background plays in my paintings.
Mm.
I'm not sure. Have you seen my paintings? All of them from
Not
my
all of them, but few of them for sure.
from PhD series. Yeah, there
Yes.
there is importance of empty background,
Mm.
which I driven directly from Japanese culture.
Mm.
In Western thinking and Western painting, there is a kind of fear
Mm.
of empty background. Empty background in here in Europe, Western painting is kind of how to say scary a little bit. We don't like emptiness so much. And
Mm.
Eastern culture, they find some peace and calm in this background, and background uh, plays very important role there. And in my recent paintings, I took a lot of inspiration from Japanese um, pre-war and post-war printmaking as well,
Mm.
and it's very interesting for me. How can I apply um, visual style, which
Mm.
was dedicated to printmaking, like using ink or very fragile line? How can I apply this in painting on
Mm.
canvas, which is completely different surface? So
Mm.
I feel like being a transplantation doctor when
Mm.
I translate one kind of tissue
Mhm.
into another field. So this is kind of metaphor for
Yeah,
me.
yeah, yeah. Uh, and interesting as well. I mean, to be honest, I have not seen a lot of European artists doing that. But when I saw I mean, you sent me a mail with your diploma, PhD diploma, and
PhD.
it was amazing, really
Thank
amazing. I'll,
you.
I'll, I'll just put the link of that in the description. People can check it out. Um, you're living in Wrocław since your childhood.
Yeah, I was born here.
Uh, and how what do you think about Wrocław? I mean, according to me, Wrocław is one of the most beautiful cities I have ever lived in, and
Oh,
it has its own vibe, and
yeah.
you have everything around. Everything. I mean, what kind? I mean, starting from the old buildings to the newest one, amazing restaurants, amazing party places. What is your perspective about Wrocław?
I love Wrocław and I
Mm.
enjoy living here very much. I believe this is a heart of Europe because we have the same distance to many Central Europe capital cities, like about 350 kilometers to Berlin, to
Mm.
Warsaw, the same to Prague, to Vienna.
Mm.
It's
Yeah.
almost the same, and indeed, it's a very beautiful city. It's
Mm.
like another Venice, I would say, because it's located on the river.
Mm.
Many little islands,
Islands are there as well.
bridges, and there is something much more special about Wrocław, and our listeners should be informed about it.
Mm.
That this city experienced something that probably wasn't so typical anywhere. And it was unique because in 1945, almost 100% of population
Mm.
was changed.
Changed
Changed
during the
was
Second World War.
after
After the Second
after
World War.
yeah. So before 1945,
Mm.
it was German city called Breslau. Yeah.
Mm.
Before that time, somewhere in around 16th century, before Prussian, how to
Mm.
say in English,
Persian.
Persian, yeah,
Mm.
this part of Germany, it was Austrian.
Persian means people from Persia. So are you?
From Prussia,
Prussians.
Prussians, yeah.
Okay.
And before this German um, kind of state was Austrian, and
Mm.
before that it was about 14th century. It
Mm.
was Republic.
Oh.
Czech Republic, not Republic then, but by Czech probably
Mm.
kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
And before that, about 12th century, it was a Polish city in its roots.
Oh, so on 12th century it was Polish,
Polish,
and then after 1945 it became Polish.
yeah,
Oh
became
my God.
Polish after I don't know 800
Yeah, after
years. Yeah,
1200 and 1900s.
yeah. So of course it was smartly used by propaganda after the war that we coming
Mm.
into root land of
Mm.
Poland, yeah, which wasn't directly true because so many things happened in
Mm.
between. But this phenomena that uh, every citizen of
Mm.
that city was from somewhere in 1945. So
Ah.
we all inhabited ruins of German cities.
Mm.
So we came here and we had German cemeteries, empty buildings, even I believe even this cup is German one. Yeah, it's Bavaria, Germany, and it comes from my mother house. And my grandparents came here in 1945
Hang on,
from,
what do you mean? I mean, this cup is around 70-year old?
yeah, of course. And we
Oh my
have
God, it
here
is.
Germany, Bavarian, Shellman Weiden or something like that. And it's normal in Wrocław that,
What? I mean, 70-year-old cup?
yeah, you can find almost everywhere. And
Wow.
you can find some dishes with even German swastika or eagle or something, and you can find it. Yeah,
Oh
so
my
you
God.
came to very interesting city in
True.
that terms.
Also,
Mm,
talking about people, people of Wrocław are different, very accepting. They accept no matter who you are, from where you are. The kind of warmth I got in the city is not usual. Is not usual in Europe.
it's very nice to hear.
I'm in love with the city. If
Mm.
it's up to me, I don't want to be rich. I don't want to be famous. I just want to be in this city because this city has something in it.
Yeah, and everyone here is from somewhere originally. So when we take all of grandparents,
Mm,
maybe now, yeah, still grandparents, because
mm.
I think maybe for the youngest generation we have to check great grandparents.
Yeah.
Everyone came from somewhere, and my grandparents came here in 1945
Mm,
from then Eastern Poland,
mm-hmm.
around Lviv,
Ah,
and nowadays it's
Ukraine.
Ukraine. Yeah, and so all borders moved
Mm,
into west.
wow.
So there was a joke
Mm,
about Wrocław in 60s that
mm,
a man in Warsaw, the capital of Poland. He's
Mm.
standing on a bus stop, and some other one man is asking, "Where are you from?" "Oh, I'm from Wrocław." And the man answer, "Oh, really? I'm also from Lviv."
Wow.
So maybe it might be a little
Mm.
boring for our listeners, but it's interesting that now, welcoming Ukraine people,
Mm.
we welcome people from the same area that many of our near ancestors
Mm.
lived. Yeah, so it's like a big reunion,
True, true.
despite difficult history.
Mm.
Mm.
Agree. Um, you have studied in Wrocław as well, and you have studied in our school. Um, I was talking to a lot of people from our school, and they have this tradition. I don't know if it's tradition or what. They are fond of this place called Kalambur.
Kalambur.
Yeah, it's
Mhm.
an art cafe. I mean, I don't know if it's a cafe or what. We party there, we eat there, we drink there. We do not sleep, but yeah, it's an
Mhm.
important part of our student life. Was it the same at your time as well?
Yes, and I think it was even earlier, before
Yeah.
my generation, and when people came here and established the academy,
Mm.
the Kalambur already existed. I believe it was kind of little theater cabaret, yeah,
Mm.
the same time. So the place where you have coffee, but the same time some performance of actors is taking place. Yeah, some little concerts, something like that, and probably for sure it was also cafeteria cafe in German times, and very characteristic with Art Nouveau inside. Yeah,
Mm. Mm-hmm.
Art Nouveau style. This big dragonfly outside.
Yeah.
It's very specific place with artistic
You
atmosphere.
used to go there?
Yeah, yeah.
Now also you go there sometimes?
Sometimes, yeah.
I mean, for
Sometimes
us,
with
it's our go-to place. No matter what time we end, we just head to Colombo mostly on weekends. How was your student life when you were a student? Where you used to party? Where you used to go out? Where you used to hang out with your friends?
with me, it was a little bit difficult with student life because I used to work also that time.
Mm.
Um, I was a student. I studied. There was a time when I studied two faculties the
Mm.
same time: painting and graphic design and art media at the same time, because graphic department. And I was involved into some artistic project with the foundation, and I worked in that foundation, and also I worked for school administration. When this building was built up, I was very much involved in preparing documentation. It was non-typical path because I had additional education how to submit some papers for funds, European
Mm.
Union funds, and I wanted to help our school with that. So my nightlife was like sitting in front of my computer
Mm.
with the budget of the
Mm.
projects. But when I had time, I remember especially Kalambur.
Mm.
There was also a place in the corner of Kuznitscha Street and no longer exists. Special place, like a kind of beer garden.
Mm.
And we also very often visited this kind of it looks like a medieval prison, and it was a medieval prison
Mm.
on Więzienna Street, which means prison street. Do you know this place?
No, but we would love to. I
It's,
mean, we would love to go there for sure.
I'll check later
Great. Yeah, yeah.
what is the name of that place.
Hmm.
There was Maniana
Manana
also.
is still there.
It's
Yeah,
still there.
it's a good place. You used to go to Manana?
Yeah,
Wow.
but mostly we had our meetings with other students and nightlife, some drinking, some wine and beer at our places.
Yeah.
It was the most typical way to spend time, and
Mm.
the academy as well. The
Yes.
rules were different,
No, no. I
and
think we kind of chill these days as well.
yeah,
Academy is same.
but we could very often stay very long till midnight or
Mm.
1
Yeah.
p.m.
I mean, I was talking to a few of the students on the art show, and uh, they have this complaint that not complaint. I mean, I don't know what is it. They're not happy with this fact that they cannot stay longer at the university at the school, and I think we deserve to stay a little bit longer
Yeah.
after 10 as well. But yeah, moving next. When you were a student here in our school, you were mostly focused on painting and graphics. um, was that instinct of intermedia came from there, or it came later on when you completed your study and explored about?
It came very early.
Hmm.
It's my first or second year. I observed a lot Przemek's studio.
Hmm.
I wasn't a student in his drawing studio, but I cooperated with the students from his studio, and he introduced a lot of intermedia attitude
Hmm.
into drawing. And very early, I started to participate in group exhibitions. So sometimes even my painting professor weren't glad that I do a lot of intermedia instead
Hmm.
of painting. Yeah.
That's great. I just missed out one thing. One thing I really wanted to ask you. There is a special place in Wrocław called Vespa Saldova, I think, Students Island.
Yeah,
Was it there at your time as well?
it was.
And with the
Yeah.
same kind of vibe and same kind of energy. Would you like to explain that island? Because that island is very, very interesting and very important for students.
Yeah, it's close to the academy
Mm-hmm.
area, which is very natural, full of green space, and sometimes some food trucks
Mm.
appeared there. And it was the same in my time and my parents' time,
Wow.
that students used to gather there. I think because of the fact that many Wrocław University
Mm-hmm.
institutes are around there. So people from Wrocław's University, our academy, and Technology University, Polytechnic, could came and meet there.
Mm.
Mm, and maybe they could have eye on two bridges, or if the city guard is coming or not, because it's
Yeah.
also connected with drinking outside, with some
Yeah.
concerts.
I heard that on that is the only place in Wrocław where you can drink publicly outside. And also I can say that that place is a good place to socialize with an amazing view.
Hmm.
So yeah, what would you like to say to those aspiring artists who are yet to start their career? I mean, this is one of the common questions that I ask everyone, because I believe that they need some sort of guidance or some sort of help, and with the medium of this show, we can provide something that would be great for them and for us as well. So, what do you want to say to those aspiring artists who are yet to start their career in art?
I would like to say that they need to believe in their self. It's very important, and despite the moment in which they are, everything is possible in art. But a huge leap is possible, but it also requires some work.
Mm,
And I suggest visiting a lot of exhibitions, even online, if you don't
mm,
have possibilities in your towns or small towns or villages.
mm,
We have great resources now online,
mm,
and find something that touch your heart, that
mm,
moves you very much, and check this artist portfolio and CV, check what kind of education
mm,
was undertaken. And when you think about specific university or
mm,
school, check the rules,
mm,
examination rules, recruitation rules, and ask yourself, what should I do? What else do I need? What possibilities do I have here?
mm,
What should I get online to meet the expectations? Yeah, um, it, and then plan your time
mm.
and go on your direction.
Great. Um, on that note, I would like to end the show. And thank you so very much, Daniela, for helping me and for coming out on our show as well. You personally helped me a lot. And I think with this conversation that we had, a lot of others would get some sort of direction, some sort of help. So thank you a lot. Hope
Thanks
to
a
have
lot.
you soon. So so yeah, everyone. This was Daniela on the Unart show. I'm gonna put her Instagram in the description. Go and check her out. Trust me, she's like really amazing artist. And if you have any questions, you can ask her directly as well. And trust me, she's gonna help you out. And I hope you guys enjoyed it. So see you soon. Till then, bye bye.
Bye bye.
Thank you.